Hi everybody, Russ from the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. I'm back in the Bud and Bunker at lunchtime today for the Daily Show. I had to do it in the drawing room. Does everyone else have a room like a? I've all, like even my family. Remember we used to have the front room was the posh room, and no one would go in there. We'd all go in the back room, and it was like anyway, it's just me. So it was in the posh room, as posh as you can get in my house. But anyway, and we spoke about the internationals that are finished, the crazy April we're gonna get coming up. It's sort of season defining month. Looking ahead slightly to the Southampton game. Lots of news coming out about Southampton earlier. I think they've gone out up to 6 first team players out potentially for the game on Sunday. Likes of Che Adams, Bedniak, Salusi potentially as well, Mohamed Salusi, as well as Kochop, who's my favourite named player, I think, in an opposition side. But can I just also point you and remind you to put in your diaries, clear your Friday nights tonight on this Friday coming rather, 5 p.m. Onwards on Friday. We have got the Iron Sporting Feedbacks 24-hour charity live stream on this channel on the West Ham Network. We announced yesterday we had our star interview being a sit down with Alessandro Diamanti, the wild horse himself, and it's a absolutely bonkers interview, so please don't miss that. Also, we announced this afternoon that our second sort of big interview is with the class of 1999, Friends Reunited. We've got a few of the boys from that youth FA Cup winning side of 1999 in a bit of a sit down round table chat. We've got the captain, Izzy Ickpen, who lifted the trophy on his 16th birthday. We've also got the goal scorer of many of the goals for that age group being Bertie Brayley, and also a guy who scored on the final himself, Adam Newton as well. And we talk about that time, what it was like to be an academy player, whose boots did you clean, advice makes old players, training with the first team, and also a bit about the mental side as well, which wasn't covered as much when they were sort of in their development times. So it was a really, really interesting chat, and obviously it runs in parallel to the West Ham under-18s reaching the FA Youth Cup semi-final for the first time since we won it in 1999. We've actually got also Mark Phillips on there, the under-18 coach, talking about the current crop as well, which is a really good interview. Sadly, Fulham got all 3 points on Tuesday, so it's basically in West Ham's hands. A draw against Brighton on Saturday at Little Heath will secure them the Premier League 2 South trophy or title with a few games to spare, so it'd be fantastic. And then obviously we roll on to Thursday for the FA Youth Cup semi-final. Tickets will not be available on the door, I've been told by Mark, so make sure you get your tickets well in advance to make sure you can attend. It'll be a hell of a game and a hell of an event. Anyway, so Hammers Headlines in association with the KUMB.com boys. Actually, Graham from KUMB will be on the live stream as well as part of our showcase. We've got I think he's on the starting 11 show with Anton. But anyway, let's start with some criticism. Some criticism from
Could you try again?
No, sir, we won't. Some criticism from a West Ham women's player, actually Lucy Parker. Lucy's just been called up to the England squad for the friendlies against Brazil and Australia next month. So congratulations to Lucy on that. But she took to social media to criticise her own club for failing to facilitate a match for their women's team at the London Stadium. Parker was responding to all the social media posting by West Ham where they announced the men's under-18s will be playing at the Youth FA Cup semi-final at the London Stadium. West Ham women are currently 7th in the WSL and have reached the semi-finals of the Continental Cup this year. They're the League Cup in essence. Parker wrote on Twitter, taking nothing away from the lads because they more than deserve it after the year they've had. But when will we get a game at the stadium? We're the only WSL side not to have a game at the men's stadium and haven't played there since 2009. Made an FA Cup final last year too, so it can't be that. If I remember, and if I recall, I think that game was against Spurs, wasn't it? And I think we lost that game. But she makes a really valid point. As part, if I'm correct, as part of our signing up to the Premier League 2 for the under-20 for the men's under-21s, you have to play at least 2 games at your male stadium, the main stadium. But I don't think there's that facility. That sort of rule is not in place for the women for the WSL. Maybe it should be. Obviously, West Ham played the Man United ladies at Old Trafford on Saturday in a losing Saturday or Sunday of the weekend, a losing battle, but not playing it since 2019. That's the trouble, obviously, not owning the stadium because you only have a finite number of games. So every additional game will cost you a significant amount of money. And so, yeah, but it's not on, is it? Particularly now with the West Ham women's side, with the board, including Baroness Brady, Tara Warren, who's the managing marketing director. We've got Nicola in head of ticketing as well. You know, prominent positions at the West Ham men's executive team, now on the West Ham women's board. Surely we should be getting at least one game every season at the London Stadium for the women. Anyway, let's talk about some scouting. Now, obviously, we don't know what league we're in. Going to be league we're in, whether, you know, obviously this month rather, is a season defining month. You know, 7 Premier League games. We've got both rounds of the conference league quarterfinals, and obviously you've got the youth game as well. But for the men's full side, yeah, by the end of April, we'll either have a nicer May or a devastating May, because if we're not, you know, because it's so many games, 9 games in 27 days, something ridiculous like that. So we are still scouting regardless of what happens. And still looking out for next year. And one of the players we've been linked with is this young gentleman. So West Ham reportedly made contact with Vélez Sarsfield over a possible deal for their 17-year-old wonder kid. Love it when they call him a wonder kid. And obviously, Joe Cole was the wonder kid, wasn't he, in the 1999? You know, so all works together. Gianluca Pestiani. There we go. And the Argentinian could prove to be West Ham's next Carlos Tevez. Here he is, Tevez 2.0. According to Tuto Mercato Web, my favourite media outlet, West Ham have been in contact with the Argentine side about a deal for the teenage forward, but could struggle considering our current predicament in the Premier League. Apparently, Gianluca has a release clause of just 12 million euros, which is 10.5 million quid, so it wouldn't be an expensive option for the Hammers at all. And particularly with revelations on the Stephen Bartlett podcast and Moisey, how he turned down on Julian Alves. This guy is the next generation behind them. So you think with 10.5 million quid, it doesn't seem too expensive. Apparently, Benfica and Sevilla are also keen on a deal for him. As such, of his reputation already at such a young age, Roberto Mancini is trying to get him involved in the Italian national side already, who he can also claim citizenship as well as Argentina. And it suggests his market value will rise further if he features for the Azzurri, very similar to Matteo Retegui, who got called up. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute as well. And we'll talk about that and Diamante. All works together. It all works together. He's been described as a jewel by several Argentinian journalists. He was named on the NXGN list of top 500 wonder kids in the world, where he was likened to a little player called Lionel Messi. They've also claimed that the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona are interested in him as well. So if we did sign him, it would be akin to the Tevez coup of 2006, I would say. But I love a wonder kid. I love being linked to him. We're not going to get him, Real Madrid or Barcelona, but it's been reported, and we submit it to you for your enjoyment and your and to get your opinions on it. Another player we've been asked for, and apparently we've asked information on, is the Italian international now, because he is Matteo Retegui. Apparently us and Crystal Palace and Brighton have all joined the race to sign him, and we've already asked for information on the man at the moment. And that's according to Gazzetta dello Sport. The 23-year-old burst into the international scene with a goal in the Azzurri match against England, a consolation debut strike in a 2-1 defeat to England last Thursday. Actually, we spoke about him in relation to Gianluca Scamacca, because arguably Mancini picked and this is according to Diamante, an Italian-Mexican rather than an actual Italian. So, you know, saying that Gianluca Scamacca was down the pecking order from Matteo, and so it's just funny how it all sort of works together. The Boca Juniors forward had grabbed Mancini's intentions with an excellent scoring record. He's currently on loan at Tigre in Argentina. He's netted 29 times in 51 appearances and has caught the eye of a number of clubs in Italy and around Europe. According to Gazzetta, his loan side are set to purchase 50% of his rights for just £1.3 million, with both sides holding on to looking for an auction, basically. So it'll be dual. It sounds really dodgy, doesn't it? Due ownership of the player, but the idea being is, they could flip it and make a lot of money out of him. I mean, his stock has skyrocketed since his performance against England, and it could be as much as 20 million euros at the moment, which again isn't a lot for Premier League standards, but for Serie A, they're still struggling a bit of money. Then it's a bit of a bulk in terms of signing a player, but he is a full Italian international now. So again, we'll keep an eye on that one, particularly in the summer. The likes of Inter Milan, AC Milan, I think it's Lazio, as well as Atletico Madrid, Eintracht Frankfurt, as well as Brighton, Crystal Palace, and West Ham are all apparently linked to him. But we have already asked for information, whatever that means. And lastly, West Ham have been linked with it says a shock move, but I don't think it's really a shock move, to sign 22-year-old Barcelona right back Sergio Dest. According to the report from 90 Minutes, West Ham are one of the sides chasing him, and Barcelona are looking to get rid of him in terms of getting their wage bill down and getting players off the book, so to speak. David Moyes desperately needs top-class right back in the summer, or whoever is in charge in the summer right back needs addressing, isn't it? Vladimir Soufal is approaching 30, if not 30 already. He's out of contract in the summer. I think we'll probably offer him another 2-year option on him. But the likes of, I think, Bayer Leverkusen were interested in him. We've tried Tilo Kehrer there. We tried Ben Johnson there. But arguably, Soufal is the number one at the moment in the right-back position. So that's an area which needs to be. There is a young lad who plays for Newcastle United called Harrison Ashby. Might be worth having a look at him as well. But right-back is an area we definitely need improving in. The article reckons that Atletico Madrid, Valencia, Villarreal, Crystal Palace, Wolves, and West Ham are all keeping an eye on Dest. He's 23 capped United States international, and to be honest, if you want a fast wing, if you want a fast right back, arguably he's the fastest right back in the world, I'd suggest. He was signed for Barcelona from Ajax in October 2020 for around 23 million quid. He's currently on loan at AC Milan, and the Italian giants have an option to buy him. However, they're unlikely. The Rizzurri are not prepared to take up that option because of money and how much money they have available in the summer. So Jorginho looks destined to be playing in the Premier League, to be honest. He's perfectly made for the Premier League football. You got to think the likes of people like Kyle Walker, that sort of speed, power on the right-hand side. You're almost the auxiliary winger. Very good player, and I'm pretty sure we'll be playing in the Premier League next year. Hopefully in the Claret and Blue with West Ham, who knows? And that's it, my friends. Thank you very, very much for your time. As I said, keep an eye on all the socials for we'll do a few more announcements of other people and other bits we've got on the live stream and stuff like that. And until next time, happy hump day. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. Keep the faith. Come on, you irons. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care.